Yo, so we're not getting into heavy detail about things, but I'm just gonna help you guys as much as I can with your gamepad and racing, just to help you guys be a lot more competitive and consistent. So yeah, boom. So before we start off, I just want to repeat again that I don't use any Gamepad FX. I've had this question a lot now, so to get that out of the way, if you're not drifting or rallying and want to be competitive, you shouldn't have Gamepad FX. However, if you're not trying to be competitive, but enjoy racing, one that I can recommend is this one right here, the Advanced Gamepad Assist. I've had a go at it and it's cool. I don't like how it kind of counter steers for you. There are tracks where you have to maneuver in a certain way, and the script would think that you're about to spin out, so it kind of counter steers for you, and just sometimes it does things that you don't want it to do. And obviously, there's an option to minimize it or just remove it, but even then, it doesn't give you full control over your car. Hence, it's called an assist. But yeah, this comes from someone who is in no need of gamepad assist and stuff, so that's why I don't like it. But if you're a newcomer, you should definitely have a go at it. It's a very good starting point, but yeah, eventually you need to learn how to take it off. Also, another thing that I want to mention is that the steering filter, in the tutorial video I said that it makes your car turn faster and stuff. I messed that up. It actually just smoothens your steering wheel. It gives you the impression that your car is, or that you're steering a lot smoother than you really are, and it's terrible. So my point still stands, you should have it off. It's not going to make you any faster, so just keep that off. And yeah, that's all I wanted to add. So in additional stuff, here we have, the ERS, DRS. I'm sure you guys have all these stuff binded as well. I have A and X, next gear, previous gear. That's A and X. In the PlayStation, I believe it's, I don't know, X and square. But yeah, we have flash headlights. I had this as RB, but yeah, it's one of those buttons that, one, I don't use, and two, it's kind of hard to get to. So I kind of put that for things that I don't use so much often. And then we have like brake balance, engine brake, and then MGUK. All these stuff I just added recently because there's this new car called the VRC Formula Alpha 2023, and it has a lot of cool features. One that allows you to change your display, and you can go from like the quality display to race display and stuff like that, and it's really cool. So I banded all of them in the extra options from A to F. And I also have the clutch as a left stick. So yeah, if you guys have that car, you can kind of have what I have. Other than that, in the systems, I have nothing changed. It's pretty much default. And in the patch, other than the extra options, I'm pretty sure, and maybe the wipers, I changed like one or two things, but I don't use the wipers at all. So yeah, other than that, it's pretty much generic. All right, so there are apps that I use which would help you keep you up to date with everything that is going on around you without being like overwhelmed by too much information, and also without your PC being overloaded with data, which sometimes can affect your gameplay experience. They are these ones over here, so I'm just gonna list them, all of them. So first off, we have the GT7 HUD, and I only use that for the lap time and multifunction display, which if you go over here, go to config, you can change everything. Yeah, and I have the input config. I've binded all of them to my D-pads, up, down, left, and right. For the features, I have the extended tire temps, pit lane status. These are some cool stuff. I once had a preset for just that. Yeah, this one over here, I believe. So if we go over here, yeah, you can see the way it changes. And then the countdown animation. I mean, if I were you, I would turn that off. It's like a cheat, and it's just not cool. I don't use it, and I feel like it would train you if you don't use it. If you just use the regular 5 lights, it kind of trains you on your reaction times and stuff. And yep, so that's that. And then we have the map display. There's two versions of that map display, and there is the mini version, which I have on the bottom left side of the screen, and then we have like the full one right there. Let it just load real quick. Okay, So yeah, I can maybe get it up there. Let me just turn on the virtual mirror. So yeah, sometimes I put it up left. Depends if it's like a really competitive race and I want to know where everyone is at. I turn it on, but if it's just like regular races, I just don't need it. So yeah, that's that. And then we have the substanding. Normally this is turned off, but it's turned off when I'm hot lapping, but when I'm in a race and stuff, I have this on. And we can go ahead and get into the settings real quick. The config, and in this config you get to change everything, which is really cool. It has everything you need. You can change, you know, the lap difference, the gap, whether you want specific information for the practice and quali but not the race, or something for the race and the quali and stuff. So it's really cool. And then we have the tires app, which, you know, helps you determine how your tires are like. The state of the tires, this is the green bar, and then whether they're cold, hot, and then like the tire pressures and stuff. And then we have the race essentials. This is one of the best ones. Yeah, it just kind of gives you all the information: your last lap, your best lap, your personal best, and then your RPM boost, ERS. It gives you obviously brake, tells you how much you're braking, how much you're turning, how much throttle you're applying. Really cool. And then there's the fuel information and the track grip. So it's really informative and it's helpful. Yeah, I have like a whole different presets. I have also one with Heli Corsa, and I think you should have that for side-to-side racing. Obviously, when you're, I don't know why I turned that on, but whatever. It just kind of shows all the drivers around you on track while racing and stuff, so it's really cool. You should have that. By the way, all apps are going to be listed in the description, so you won't have to look for them. So on to the fun stuff. So the generic way of steering is like left to right. I'm sure a lot of people have done this, you know, and people still do. But what I would force you to learn is having your joystick pointing upwards and then steering from left to right. And I'm sure if you use the old generic way of steering, you would have had problems trying to get through connecting high-speed corners such as like the Maggots and Beckett's in Silverstone or Sector 1 here at Suzuka. So yeah, I think it's one thing that you really have to master, and you should. That it's like, it's gonna feel weird, but trust me, after spending a good amount of time, it will feel so natural that you won't ever think about using or wanting to go back to the old generic rookie way of steering. So yeah, that's my best tip for you. So let's try. Let me actually try to steer with the whole left and right stuff over here. Oh days, oh my. Okay, this is so, it feels so weird. I can't. Okay, so you saw that it was very weird. It felt very weird. It was really hard to keep it smooth, and just, yeah, also the auto corrections and stuff. Alright, now I'm gonna try steering by pointing upwards. That was a lot smoother, and that just, one, is a lot smoother, and two, it's a lot more comfortable. And that's a 32.6. Okay. So another tip is to not steer too much. The more you steer, the more rotation you inflict on the tires, and the more turning your car may have. And I say may because there may be times when steering alone will not give you enough rotation, and you will need to take other approaches to make the corner, such as braking, lifting, and so on. So it's all about the way you approach a corner and the way you steer into that corner. So best tip is you should always try to keep your car going forward, in the sense that even when turning, ideally you would want the car to keep it straight, because the straighter it is, the more speed it generates, and the more speed it generates, the better the lap time. So try to steer as little as possible. Obviously, there can be times where you're going to have to roll the steering wheel a little more or all the way for certain turns, but high to mid speed corners are the ones you should try not to steer too much for. So as a rule of thumb, when you're driving, keeping your head, that you should try to keep the steering wheel as close to the center position as possible. It not only helps you improve lap time, but also manage your tires for endurance. So yeah, this will also benefit you in other games. So it's a very good practice. Another helpful thing that I do is pre-countersteering, which kind of helps you not lose lap time and stay on track. For example, if you missed a curve and had a high probability of losing the car, essentially when you know the car is about to do something you don't want it to do, such as, you know, gradually shifting in the wrong way, resulting in a loss of control, you can steer it back into your desired direction. So by kind of rolling the steering wheel in the opposite direction of where it is heading, and then just kind of guiding it back towards the track where you feel the car has gotten enough grip to stay on the track. But keep in mind that this is not something you should concentrate on, because it does not help you gain lap time, but rather helps you not lose lap time or too much lap time. So rather of losing 2 tenths because you had to catch a massive snap, you only lost like half a tenth or something, because you knew the car was about to snap but reacted before it happened. And also, don't roll the wheel all the way around the opposite way, just a little. So just a little, and just do it when it's necessary, because this is one of those things where that you pick up with experience. But I mentioned it in case you want to get better and want a few additional pointers. So all right, so then we have, you know, traction control. I'm gonna try explaining traction control in the simplest way possible. Let me just get the car turned on in a sec. Hold on. Another cool feature they added recently is the sync. So if you if you hear that, that's because the gears aren't synced. But let me just try to sync that real quick. All right, so with traction control, short and simple, just find the limit, honestly. Okay, hold on. Just find the limit. So let's say let's just get it on neutral. Let's try like 100, for example. Clearly that isn't the best, so let's try having the throttle at maybe like 30%, 40%. You see, so we started at 30 and then we gradually increased it to like 70, 80, and that seems to work. Let's try to do a little more and remain at that, and then so let's you start at 40, you remain there till you kind of feel that the car has catched enough grip. You essentially you feel like a very intensive vibration, and then like once that vibration starts to like ease off, that's just kind of telling you, okay, like the tires have grip. So just wait till the vibration feels like it's easing off a little bit, and that's a good sign. It's really hard to explain vibration because this is just muscle memory and stuff like that, but essentially the moral of the story is find where the limit is, start always high, always start applying a lot of throttle. And so like if at 100 your car spins out, try like 70, and then if it does spin out, maybe try 60, 50, 40, 30, till you find like the beautiful sweet spot, you know what I mean? And just like that, clearly 30% at the start and then 70 as soon as you get off the line. That just feels like the sweet spot for this car. Obviously, depending on the setup and stuff, it can change. The setup, the tire conditions and stuff, a lot of things can change, but again, you get all this through the vibration if you have a good gamepad. Another thing is ABS. So ABS, let's try to brake at the first corner. So clearly at 100 the car locks up. Let's try maybe 80. Okay, so it does work, But now the thing is, yeah, when you brake, it's always good to obviously start high, and as soon as you start high, you then ease off. You double the application of the brakes. So like here, our brake very high, I release it, and then I enter the corner. So yeah, we ABS, you start high, you release it, you enter the corner. Just make sure that you're not turning as you brake. But you can turn as you brake, only if like you're, let's say, below like 50% brakes or 30% brakes. If you're like a little higher than that, you're gonna end up locking up. So just make sure that yeah, when you're turning, you have lower application of of your brakes. So yeah, just like that. Then we have, trail braking. And the thing is with trail braking is that it's similar to ABS, same concept. You kind of apply the brakes and then gradually release it. But this, you do it, um, you release it as you're turning into the corner, which allows you to get more rotation. Steering is more than just the ability to turn your vehicle. Braking can perform the exact same function, and it is beneficial to learn how to brake, because brake does turn your car a lot. And I picked this car because it helps kind of explain that a lot better. And I feel like newer players coming into racing think that it is practical to steer all the way into a corner and out of a corner, although doing so just costs more time. We're gonna get into this and show you a little bit what I mean by that. Just like that, okay? See that right there? The car is actually turning a lot more than my steering wheel is, and that's something that you should definitely learn. Like, the thing is, yeah, with this trick, you essentially work like the steering wheel works with the braking in order to help your car turn. So it's like you use 70% steering wheel and 30% braking to get into a corner. Maybe sometimes there are corners where it's like 50% steering wheel turning and then 50% braking as well. So it's like you gotta understand how much you gotta steer and how much you need to brake, and stuff like that. I haven't learned this track with this car, so I'm messing up the corners, but just like that. So you need to figure out how much of the brakes, because the more you brake, the more a car turns. If you brake and then jump on the throttle immediately, um, you're more likely to lose your rear. But also setup is a thing. I didn't change the setup. It's kind of like default, just like that. You see that? That's a perfect explanation of it. The braking did most of the work. So right here, notice how the car kind of turns. It turns for me. It changes to third person, just like that. So yeah, that's something you should definitely learn. Lifting is definitely another important technique to master. I feel like it's one of those things that a lot of people don't even talk about, but I feel like on some circuits, it may be preferable over braking, because in opposed to lifting, braking creates a much faster drop in RPM. So while you're lifting, the RPM reduces to a smaller extent, yet still allows you to maintain your speed. So, most of the time we brake to ensure we make it to the next corner, but lifting can do the same exact purpose while carrying more speed, resulting in a faster lap time. And patience is also required for this, because sometimes we all have the urge to get on throttle as soon as possible, which is the right mindset to have most of the time. But there are tracks with steep banking and tricky elevations that will affect you badly if you're not cautious with the way you're approaching the corner and control your acceleration. So if you lose patience and get on throttle um, a little earlier because you felt like you were off the throttle for too long, it might hurt you or might cost you a race. So yeah, but that's just a matter of getting to know the track and the car and that particular track with the setup, etc. So yeah, it comes with experience. You learn it. So when it comes to setups, and I'm not the best when it comes to creating setups, I mostly go with whatever I have available to me, or for the YouTube setups, for example. I recommend starting without changing anything and then building from that. You kind of find out what you're struggling with: top speed, corner exit, corner entry, understeer, oversteer, etc. But my general rule of thumb is that when you're struggling with controlling the rear of the car, you should always lower your, hold on, let's go to suspension. You go to suspension tab. You lower your ARB rear. This also does help. You're obviously gonna have more understeer, but the car is gonna be a lot more stable. And you can also, if you go to the arrow, you can also increase the rear wing. If it's a track that doesn't require a lot of top speed, for example, this track, Brands Hatch, I can just top it up all the way. It's going to be a lot more stable at the cost of top speed. If you go back to suspension, the height of the car can contribute to freaking, and then if you go back to suspension, the height of the car here, if it can actually contribute to it as well, because the bumps can change the way you drive around the track. And if you combine bumps with track elevation, you're in for a challenging time. So you need to learn when and when not to get on throttle, lift, brake, trail brake, etc., and kind of match that with the setup you have. So another thing is understanding the car, and I feel like the greatest way to understand the car is to just abuse it. Just toss it around, fling it into every corner, just watch how it reacts, and just try going flat out wherever you prefer. You might be amazed that the car has a lot more grip than you believe and is able to remain on track. So essentially, just don't treat your car nicely. Instead, just stress it to figure out its limits so you know where to begin building lap time. And then start to reduce your handling control, the way you control your car and stuff. As soon as you notice that things are starting to click and you know where the car is best, like going full throttle and where not, and stuff like that. So also, driving rear wheel drives is a great approach to practice these techniques, because the characteristics of these cars highlight your weaknesses and all the points that I stated about learning to drive a car, such as throttle control, ABS, and lifting. So you should practice with these cars, as well as the front wheel drives, since they teach you not to steer too much, because the more you steer, the more likely you're to spin, because the engine is delivered to the front end of the car, so you're gonna feel it. And so yeah, it's good practice. And yeah, the rear wheel drives, the front wheel drives. The reason why I picked these cars is because those cars aren't well made for racing as GT3 cars and the like are. So if you want to go faster on a circuit with these cars, you need to handle the weight of the car transferring from corners to corners. So while applying also gentle inputs, and a gamepad with like good vibration as well as experience will obviously help you master these cars. But yeah, it's a very good practice. And another thing is that you can't master anything overnight, so don't be discouraged if you can't be consistent or anything. I was once in your shoes, considering the leadiness at the Corsa and stuff, because I just wasn't able to drive most cars. But now, I didn't give up and practiced and practiced, and now I'm at the point where I can drive all the cars that I couldn't get off the ground with. So, yeah.